think you need to improve your sleep quality? Sleep quality has a huge impact on a person's health in many ways. These impacts are far-reaching, ranging from depression to aging faster. Many people don't realize just how significant the effects of your sleep quality can be. I've gathered 6 sources from the U of M library to help you understand your sleep quality. In my speech, I will explain how your sleep affects you, what you can do to improve your quality of sleep, and even some of the things you cannot control that will affect your quality of sleep. So, how does my sleep quality affect me? Put simply, your sleep quality will affect you in almost every aspect of your life. Almost everything you do is affected by your mind, and therefore, you're something called cognitive function. Put simply, cognitive function is how well your brain functions. A person with dementia would have poor cognitive function. The rate at which cognitive function is called cognitive decline. An article entitled Association Between Sleep Duration, Depression, and Cognitive Decline Trajectories, Findings from a Prospective Cohort Study in China by Chenyu Li et al., analyzes the correlation between sleep duration and cognitive decline. The findings of the study showed that people who slept less than 6 hours per night had a strong association with accelerated cognitive decline, even in people who did not have dementia or other illnesses. This is helpful, but it's not full, doesn't show the full picture, as not everybody will be able to have a healthy sleep schedule every single night. So, is there any time that you could catch up on missed sleep? An article entitled Relationships Between Weekends Catch-Up Sleep and Risk of Aging by Nan Yao et al. May shed some light on this question. Catch-up sleep is when a person sleeps more on the weekends to catch up for some missed sleep. This article studied the correlation between catch-up sleep and the risk of aging. The risk of aging is complicated, but it's basically a measure for accelerated aging, similar to how cognitive decline is a measure for your cognitive function. The results of the study may be surprising for many of you, as the study showed that those who engaged in catch-up sleep for 1 to 2 hours and went to sleep before midnight experienced a reduced risk of aging than those who failed to do either. The analysis of individuals with late bedtimes had significant findings. The results showed that people who went to bed past midnight, regardless of catch-up sleep, had a significant increase in the risk of aging. For those who did not engage in catch-up sleep, the risk of aging went from 21% to 41%. The finding of the study is useful as it shows that both catch-up sleep and an early bedtime have an impact on your life as a whole, as in your risk of aging. So, what can I do to improve my sleep quality? One study entitled The Contributing Factors to Poor Sleep Experiences in According to the University Students, a Cross-Sectional Studies, by Insaf Altoon, Nursan Sinar, and Jamil Didi, aims to answer this question. The study should shed some light on some important factors to consider in overall sleep quality. The study worked by polling numerous university students in Turkey on what they felt would have an extreme, a moderate, and a minimal effect on your sleep quality. Of the responses, the factor with the highest response was psychological factors, with 67.2 respondents said had an extreme effect on their sleep quality. Of these, 64% of people said stress had an extreme effect on their sleep quality as well. This is interesting as these two are very closely intertwined, and a lot of people would argue they're pretty much the same thing, and it also makes sense that would be so high among university students specifically, as a lot of people would probably say they're under a lot of stress. The next factor that was responded the most was exposure to tobacco smoke in the sleeping area at 63%. This is all useful information, but it is important to note that this data is based off of self-reported. So these results are based off of people's experiences or preconceived notions even, rather than objective facts or measured values. The next factor should shock none of you. It's phone addiction. An article entitled The Effect of Mobile Phone Addiction on Sleep Procrastination in Adolescents, the Longitudinal Median Role of Physical Activity Behavior by Wanbin Yu et al. Presents evidence of a relationship between phone addiction, bedtime procrastination, and physical exercise. There is no question that almost all of us are addicted to our phones, but what effect does that have on us? This article found that people who are addicted to their phones have a tendency to procrastinate their bedtime, which causes them to sleep less, and of course leads to them having a worse sleep quality. The article also found that people who are addicted to their phone have a significantly reduced willingness to engage in physical activity. All these factors also lead into each other and exponentially fill on top of each other and cause each to grow. For example, phone addiction causes both sleep procrastination and reduced physical activity. Reduced physical activity causes both sleep procrastination and phone addiction. And sleep procrastination causes both phone addiction and reduced physical activity. There are clearly many factors that have a significant effect on your sleep quality. But what about the factors that I cannot control? There are many factors that you are predisposed to, that you cannot control, and that will have a significant impact on your sleep quality. The first of these factors are age and gender. Although you have no control over these factors, they're still very important to consider as they have such a substantial impact on your sleep quality, and they're important to keep note of throughout your life. As seen in this graph, in the article Sex-Specific Changes in Sleep Quality with Aging, Insights from Wearable Device Analysis by Jonathan Tam et al., the sleep quality in both men and women obviously decreases over time. However, not at the same rates. For women, they usually have a consistent sleep quality for about the first 50 years of their life, followed by a very sharp drop between 50 and 60 years old. After that, it drops partially and then remains consistent for the rest of their life. For men, they have a relatively consistent loss in their sleep quality. I would say it's about 25 to 40% their previous measured value, starting at 40 years old every 10-ish years. And then it evens out and stays steady for the rest of your life as well. Another one of these factors that you cannot control is sleep disorders, which a lot of people have, surprisingly. Sleep disorders, in an article entitled Sleep Disorders Accelerate Biological Aging Through Depressive Symptoms, Evidence from Names, by Xing Zhang, explains the effects of sleep disorders on biological aging and other factors. The findings of this article showed that people who had sleep disorders experienced depressive symptoms, and that these depressive symptoms accelerate biological aging. The findings also showed that people who have a healthy lifestyle, it acts as a mediator in these effects. The paper's description of a healthy lifestyle includes plenty of exercise, avoiding smoking, and avoiding drinking alcohol. In my speech today, I have explained how your sleep affects you, how can you improve your sleep quality, and the factors of sleep that are out of your control. Your sleep quality has many impacts on your body. I hope that by listening to my speech today, you've learned something about your sleep quality and the factors that influence it. Thank you for listening to my speech.